we have someone on here that's going to be talking about his YouTube channel, but he's made a huge, I would say, business in really taking it to the next level. And he's all about Disney. This is Josh. And he is, if you're on YouTube, definitely check it out. Resort TV One. If you type that into the search bar, you can find him. And he really gets it kicking about Disney. He's been all over Disney, and he is the man. And also, he does it with Jen, I should say, as far as getting the word out for Disney. So, Josh, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Josh, let's kick this around and start from the beginning. Can you tell the viewers, growing up, did you always love Disney, or what made you love Disney in general?
Well, yeah, we started out really, really young. My parents actually met at Disney, believe it or not met. They had their first date at Disney. So they started, way before we were born. And then they brought us down here. I think I was 5 and my sister was 4. And so we came down and just immediately fell in love. I remember, I think Epcot was actually the first park we came to, and classic Epcot back in around 1985 or so was just insane. Cool as a kid, all the computers and everything. So I really just fell in love with the place. And then we went back almost every year for a while. We only took a few years off here and there. And yeah, it was honestly love the first time we walked around the parks. We never wanted to go anywhere else. Mom and dad were like, do you want a pool or do you want to go to Disney? And we would always say, no, let's go to Disney. So.
Now I hear you now, and living down in this area also, as you do, and I really enjoy going to Disney in the parks. So let's talk about this to even go back a little bit too. You talked about going down to Florida and going to Disney all the time, growing up. So what made you want to move to Florida? Was it Disney?
That was part of it, but also I lived in Indiana until I was about 29, and just really got tired of the winter. I don't mind the cold. I can put a coat on and it doesn't bother me. But I got tired of not ever seeing the sun, and I decided there was one year, my last year, I think we were down there. I counted 35 days in a row with no sun, and I was like,
Wow.
this is for the birds. I'm done with this." So obviously Disney was a big pull too. This was going to be a great thing to be close to Disney, but yeah, Indiana was just too gray and cloudy for me a lot of times.
Again, for everybody that's listening, this is Josh, and he is one of the hosts for Resort TV One. Definitely check it out on YouTube and type it in, and definitely check out tons of great videos all about Disney. And for people that are, pandemic struck, they're at home, they can't get to Florida. They have, a lot of people don't have a lot of money right now. So if you can't get to Disney, this is definitely the channel to watch to get that, sights and sounds of Disney when you're not there. So as we move on into the interview, Josh, let's talk about this. So when was the talk about starting Resort TV One?
Well, it kind of goes back to the whole thing really wasn't ever planned. It wasn't planned like we were going to, some people moved down here to start a YouTube channel, and that's great. We never had that plan. Um, Originally, I just really enjoyed the resort TV and remembered finally being able to stay in the resorts when I was in high school. I think it got to the point where there were more affordable resorts. It wasn't just like the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian. We could never really afford to stay there for a long time. And so, we would really get onto the resort TV as far as watching that in the rooms, and it made me feel like I was there in the resort. So I started collecting this resort TV. It was all over the internet on different websites and things, and then I started posting it on YouTube, not really for anybody to necessarily see. YouTube was not very old at that point. I think our first video was posted in like 2006 or 7. YouTube had only been around a couple of years. And so I was just posting them so I could put it on my Apple TV and play it. This was a few years later, I guess. And I wanted to be able to play it in my bedroom or be able to play it wherever I was, to feel like I was at Disney. This is before we actually moved down here. And finally, people started watching, and we got like 10,000 views on a couple of the videos. And then I started doing other videos, resort tours, things like that when we moved down here, and it kind of caught on. People were like, "Oh, we want to see your face. We want you to talk to us." And the live streaming kind of came when YouTube opened it up to almost everybody with 1,000 subscribers, and we'd already gotten 1,000. And I said, well, I bet people would like to see the parks live. And we were literally probably the first people, at least to do it regularly on YouTube, to live stream the parks. And now there's a ton of people doing it, but it really caught on quick. We got like 1,000 people watching the very first time we ever went live from the Magic Kingdom.
When you first started, was it weird talking into the camera? Did you get those strange looks?
Oh yeah, for sure. And of course, I'm a teacher, so I don't have a problem being in front of people. I'm in front of a class, and in fact, it's funny, I feel, more comfortable sometimes in front of 14,000 people
Oh,
than I
wow.
do, as far as like that's the most we've ever had watching on a live stream was like 14,000 people. And I faced the camera toward myself. I was like, wow, there's 14,000 people looking at me right now. But even in a classroom, sometimes if I say something wrong or if I mess up or I feel silly, sometimes the embarrassment is a little bit more real because you've got people actually sitting in front of you. So but I think as far as walking around the parks, people still look at us funny, or they'll say, "Oh, look, that's a selfie stick." I'm like, "No, it's not a selfie stick." So we just ignore it. But honestly, there's enough people that do it now that nobody even like, what's this guy talking to? They know it's like, okay, you're vlogging or live streaming.
We'll move back into this. So, Josh, we talk about how this, platform YouTube and how it's really grown, and your channel's really grown with it. You have over 120,000 subscribers, and last time I checked, it was like over 35 million views. So people are definitely watching this channel, which is great for you, and I've watched it too, so I enjoy it too. So with that, how do you feel like the channel has grown? Because I know you said the first time you launched, it was 1,000 viewers rather when you first did your live view at Magic Kingdom. So when did you start like getting that feel like, hey, people are really subscribing, people are really watching this channel?
I really think it was that first night, whenever this was the night Happily Ever After premiered, and that was the first time I'd ever gone live at Magic Kingdom. And
Mm.
because I'd done Epcot and it was fine, like 150 people maybe watching. And before that, I think I did Disney Springs and had like 20 people watching because it kind of grows exponentially. But I think people were just trying to figure out what it was. And then as far as when we went into Magic Kingdom, I think first of all, I think people thought for some reason we were the official Disney park stream at first because they were like, "Oh, you're going to show the fireworks." And I'm like, "No, actually, I was going to film. I wanted to film them separately and not try and stream it." And I'm glad I didn't try and stream it because when you get in a big crowd, and this is before Disney did a lot with the cell towers in the parks, like it would have just shut the stream down because there would have been too many people in one area. But as far as walking around the parks, it was fine. But I realized all of a sudden people said you're on the YouTube trending page and everything, that everything was really growing exponentially. We gained like 1,000 subscribers in one night, which was insane,
Wow.
and just had that many people watching. And I said, okay, this is something. This is really going to be big. I had no idea. And then after that, Jenna, my sister, came down from where she was living up north, and she joined the channel just a few weeks later, and we started being more regular Friday nights with our Friday Night Live and things like that. And it took off so fast. We would gain 500 subscribers in a night, which if anybody
Wow.
that does YouTube especially if you've only got 5,000 to start out with, is unheard of to gain 500 in a night. So I was like, this is big. This is something we really need to focus on and be serious about. And it it didn't start out to be a business idea. Honestly, it was just fun. In fact, we didn't even have any form of people even tipping us or donations or anything like that for weeks because people kept asking, "Hey, we want to send you a super chat." I'm like, I don't even know how to turn that on. So, people literally just kept asking, "Hey, we love this. We want to send you a couple bucks." I'm like, okay. So we finally did turn that on, but it was never intended to be a business. It was just fun when we started out, and it's still fun.
So then you finally got into, obviously you have merchandise, and obviously now that you can do the super chats with that, obviously that was after this then. Is that when you finally got that idea for the merchandise too?
Yeah, the merch was really just people again asked, "Do you have merch?" Because I guess a lot of this comes from gaming YouTubers. That they do
Mhm.
all this. They have the merch and they have they do the super chats and the donations and whatever. And of course, there hasn't been a lot. There weren't really parks live streamers when we started. There was no precedent for how we should be. And so, people said, "Hey, you should have a logo. You should have some merch." So I got with a friend of mine who actually draws comic books for a living,
Oh,
and
wow.
he drew us a logo, which I thought was cool. It's actually um, you know my wife's idea for how it would go with the monorail kind of around the loop. And of course
Right.
we made it different enough from Disney's monorail that there's no infringement or issues there. It's actually just a generic monorail, but it's really cool. The other thing, that's the reason, by the way, on a sidetrack, that's the reason why there's nothing Disney or Universal on our name. It's Resort TV1 because we
Mhm.
cover any resorts. So in a week or so we're going to cover some stuff at the beach over at St. Petersburg. So we can cover pretty much any resort where we focus on Disney, but that way we don't have anybody saying, "Oh, you can't have Disney in your title," because we don't. We cover everything. So
And so, I just came on your channel maybe about a month or so ago. I've mostly saw your Disney videos. I didn't really see too much Universal, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens. Do you think you'd ever really fully venture into those other parks, those other attractions in Orlando or Tampa, or just mainly stick with Disney and keep it like that?
Well, so we are actually wanting to branch out more. Obviously, Disney's always going to be our bread and butter.
Right.
That's where people they subscribe to our channel to see Disney. So we know if people somebody subscribes to a channel to see a certain thing, they expect to see that. So we totally get that. It's our favorite thing too. Magic Kingdom's always going to be our biggest park when we do live streams. They're always going to be the most people watching, and we enjoy that park the most too. But we also want to do some Universal more coming up. We both have passes, and like I mentioned before, we're going to be staying at a resort over just for fun over in St. Petersburg. So I want to show that. We also did the Orlando Eye back in the fall, which we got invited over there to show that. We actually on Sunday we're going out to Give Kids the World to show
Yeah.
a new ice cream place that they are opening up. So that's going to be cool. So we are trying to branch out. You're still probably going to see 90% Disney videos on the channel, but that extra 10%, we want it to be more diverse. I want to get over to Kennedy Space Center eventually. I haven't been there since I was a kid. So yeah, there's amazing things here in Orlando and in Central Florida. We'll never run out of things to show. That's for sure.
Definitely everybody check out. And this is Josh Nelson here on Fire Breathing Rob Resort TV 1. He's on tons of videos on Disney. It's definitely something you guys should watch if you love Disney. As we keep moving into the interview, Josh, let's talk a little bit about the viewers' questions that they gave me to ask you. What is your favorite park to go to? I know you just answered this, but we'll let you answer it again, I guess.
Of course, yeah. Magic Kingdom is our favorite park. Now, when I was a kid, it was Epcot because classic Epcot was so amazing and awe-inspiring. We still love Epcot, but now that I live here, Magic Kingdom is by far my favorite. It's just got the most rides. It's the most magical. When the fireworks are going, the Happily Ever After fireworks are amazing. And it's just walking down Main Street, USA, and seeing the castle, my blood pressure lowers like 10 points automatically. So.
So wishes or happily ever after?
Gotta say happily ever after,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's somebody who was there that I've been to Disney since Wishes opened when it first started, way back several years ago. I love Wishes, but I think happily ever after is actually a more cohesive story than
Hmm.
Wishes was, and so to me. Happily ever after makes me more emotional. There'll be times when, and I'm sure when it comes back, and I'm not a guy who gets emotional that much, but there'll be times when I can't talk after the show because it's just so amazing to me. The music, the sound, the narration, it really gets to me. So I think, everybody's different, but for me, happily ever after.
Favorite ride?
My favorite ride is the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover, which is we're still waiting for it to come back, but that's my favorite ride. It's so relaxing and amazing.
Josh, favorite show?
Favorite Disney show
Yeah,
or
like the live action show, like Festival of Lion King's one of my favorites. Frozen, whatever it may be.
oh gee. We don't watch a lot of the shows. I do like Festival of the Lion King quite a bit. I also like, I guess it'd have to be between Festival of the Lion King and Indiana Jones. I really do like Indiana
Right.
Jones because it's a classic. So
All right. And as we keep moving into, and as we go into the last few questions, uh, how do you feel like the parks handled COVID?
I think Disney's done a really, really great job. Disney Springs being maybe the exception just a little bit is that, with Disney Springs, there have been a few more issues here and there with
Mm.
there's just so many people there with masks sometimes coming down and things like that. But I think that the overwhelming majority of the stuff at Disney has been really, really well handled. They're erring on the side of caution. They just basically say keep the mask on. They probably could say, oh, take it off when you're not around people, or take it off when you're in the resort by yourself, so you can take it off in your room. Even the Skyliner where you're by yourself with your own family, they say leave it on because I think they just don't want people to forget to put it back on. But Universal, we were there at first, they were doing a good job, and then it started to slack off a little bit. So I still feel safe there. I haven't seen any major issues. SeaWorld, I will say, I went to SeaWorld the day it opened. I hope they tightened it up, but I did not feel safe. They were not
I
enforcing the
heard that
mask at
too.
all at SeaWorld. It was like I had friends who actually said, other vloggers who actually left before we did, they were like, I don't feel safe, I'm out of here, because it was like almost like a free-for-all as far as like whoever, it was almost like the masks were optional. Like if you want to wear it, great. If you don't. People got hot and just took them off
Yeah.
completely. And so Disney's done much better. Like they will tell you, and you'll hear them every time. If you're taking a picture, even if you're pulling your mask down to take a picture, they'll be telling you, hey, put your mask on for the picture. It's like they're really pretty good about it.
So can you tell the viewers a little bit as we keep going into the subject of COVID? What is open, what's closed? Because there will be people that are listening and watching to this, whether it's listening on the radio, listening on YouTube, that haven't been back to the parks, maybe for health reasons, or maybe they just don't feel safe yet. So can you tell them what's open and what's closed right now at Disney?
Well, first of all, not all the resorts are open. I don't have a
Mm,
list. That's of course on Disney's website,
sure.
but some of the resorts are closed. All the DVC resorts are open because, of course, they've got contracts with their DVC members that they kind of have to have them open. But like there are a lot of resorts like Polynesian right now, DVC is open, but not regular rooms. And there's others like that. I don't want to say the wrong ones, but there are resorts that are closed. Blizzard Beach, I believe, is opening soon, or maybe just opened today, which I heard about that. So, but Typhoon Lagoon is still closed. So there's a lot of things still closed. A lot of restaurants are closed right now. You walk through Epcot, some of the countries you can walk through them in World Showcase, but there's nothing open. Like Morocco, there's a little that Disney put up a makeshift bar in there where you can get some drinks, but that's it. It's really just it's like a pop-up place. It's not actually a real restaurant. There's not even any stores open in Morocco anymore. For a while the shop in China wasn't open. Canada, none of the shops are open. So even Harbor House at Magic Kingdom is a restaurant, and that's not open, which is a big deal. They're actually using that as part of the Peter Pan queue. So they're definitely, Disney's being very strategic with what they open. They're being very strategic with their hours. It's a lot more reduced than normal. You can just tell that there's a very conscientious effort being made to keep the budget in check right now.
Can you dive into Epcot a little bit more? We heard about you. I mean, I should say you just spoke about Morocco, and I heard that there was some sort of bankruptcy deal, and you can dive more into that in a second. And also, obviously, there's a lot of new stuff going on at Epcot. A lot of things are going to be opening within the next few years. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's open right now. So, can you go into Epcot a little bit more as far as the new stuff and the Morocco issue?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know much about the Morocco issue other than I did hear that whichever, I believe Morocco or another outside entity was operating that.
Hmm.
And I believe that that is no longer the case. I believe Disney has complete control of it right now. And because things are so tight with the pandemic, they have opted to just put that little drink stand in there. And then there's a relaxation zone where, if you're not familiar, you haven't been to Disney since COVID, relaxation zone means you can take your mask off. They're mostly open air places. If they're not outside, they're still like a breezeway type place where you can social distance and take your mask off and just kind of enjoy some time to get some fresh air and maybe have a drink or a snack. So that's all that's happening in Morocco right now. And I don't know when that would change, but there's a lot of that kind of going around where you'll see things just that are different. There's no fireworks. They're saving money on that too. So there's a lot of different things happening right now that are different from normal.
What do you hope Resort TV at the end, whenever it will end, really puts as far out to the people? What do you hope the outcome, I guess, of Resort TV is in the end?
I think for me, the outcome is just helping people feel closer together and connected as a community, because that's our favorite part of the channel, is that we've had people actually make basically lifelong friendships or lifelong level friendships in our chat. People have started YouTube channels because they met in our chat, which is crazy for me to think about. There's a whole channel called This and That I'll give them a shout out, but they started because they started chatting about how bad the weather was in the Northeast where they were from, and they were having a snowstorm. They were chatting about it in the chat and realized they all had a lot in common, so they started talking offline. So that's my goal. The other thing is, people will tell us when they meet us in the parks all the time that we help them get through the quarantine, get through the difficult year of the pandemic. Everything, we gave somebody something to look forward to. So that's my thing. Like it's something for me to look forward to too. Like we've got our big live stream tomorrow and I can't wait. Like I'm, going to get packed up after this and I'm going to go and get ready to stream. So it's something for me to look forward to. Like I think right now in this difficult time, we all just need something to hope for. And so even if it's something like a YouTube live stream, there's so much negativity on TV and we just try and bring something different and positive. It's all family friendly. We don't allow any political talk or anything religious or anything that could be considered controversial. We just try and keep it very focused on Disney so people get that escape. with social media and everything, and everybody's arguing about everything. We just are trying to keep it very focused on Disney and on something we all have in common, trying to kind of bring people together at this point. So that's kind of what I hope for Resort TV One.
Well, you've already got there, and I appreciate your time, Josh. Josh Nelson, definitely look him up on YouTube, Resort TV One. Tons of Disney videos already, and more to come. Josh, before we go, where's the live stream tomorrow so the viewers can maybe watch it?
Absolutely. Well, this Friday, which is tomorrow, we'll be at Magic Kingdom. So hope you guys will enjoy that. It's going to be our favorite park, and we can't wait.
All right, what time are we starting?
We start about 5 p.m. Eastern time.
All right, great. Hey, Josh, thanks so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Rob.